All right. So Venus is retrograding, and what does that even mean for us? And what is happening energetically for us as a collective, and also for each part of our experience here on this earth? So, if you want to find out more about what is happening this month and what should you be paying attention, then you want to make sure that you stick around for this conversation. Plus, you will also receive some readings on for your Venus sign. Cura, 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 cura corazón. Cura, cura, cura. Namaste, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Blooming Lotus Healing Channel. My name is Jikara, and I'm your spiritual healing facilitator. So excited to be here today, this morning, top of the morning, 8:15 a.m. Eastern Time here in Tampa, Florida. And yeah, we're starting to feel right the spring come. And yeah, and just today I just wanted to talk about Venus retrograde. I opened all my astrology books. I'm not personally an astrologer. I didn't study astrology, but I'm kind of like a student of astrology on the side. And there's still so much that I could learn and I can expand into. But I just wanted to share because I feel like there's a lot of energies that are important for us to keep up with throughout this year, especially because we are in a very decisive year. And so this year, I just feel even more inclined to be very, very aware of what's happening astrologically. How can I take advantage of these energies? And that's really what I want to share here with you today. And before we get started, I kind of wanted to just share a message from our one of our sponsors. Yeah, so grateful. So, yes, you heard that right. I am sponsoring my own channel with Akashic Records channel. Our Akashic Records channel is our sister channel and is where we have guided meditations. We also have some collective clearings, Akashic clearings, as well as meditation music. So if you want to check that out, make sure you go to the Akashic Records channel, the Akashic Records channel. If since it's brand new, you may not be able to find it just by putting in the name. So make sure you put the at sign, the Akashic Records channel all together, and you should be able to find it. That's the handle of the channel, at the Akashic Records channel. That will take you directly to the channel. Super excited to share this with everyone. And we're also going to be announcing soon a membership program that you'll be able to be part of to receive early access to the clearings that we put out into the channel, as well as additional bonus material that is not going to be available in the channel. So if you want to participate in that, make sure you stay tuned. We are going to be announcing this week pretty soon the information on how to join, and in that way also support the channel's mission, which is to bring healing for the collective. Okay, so let's get started. So let's talk about Venus retrograde, right? So Venus retrograde started on March 1st and is going to end on April 12th. So it started around the new moon. So we have a new moon in Pisces, right? And that energy of the new moon alongside with the energy of the um of the planetary alignment that I spoke about last week, all of that is sort of like infusing into this specific retrograde, which is so important for us to know. One thing that I also wanted to mention as well is that with Venus retrograde, from what I have found here, is that typically it goes what it means is that it's actually going, it kind of looks like it's going backwards, sort of like the same thing as Mercury retrograde, right? And in the same vein of the retrograde, it also is sort of like a very erratic sort of energy, right? And so like it's important to remember that during this time when we're looking at Venus represents our relationships, also our perception of beauty, as well as it could also impact finances. That is sort of creating an influence right into these parts of our lives. The last time that Venus was in retrograde was in 2017, so 2017. So think about, where were you in 2017? What happened around then? You know, what was your love life in that time? How were your relationships at that time? What was your perception of beauty at that time? What was your perception of your own of your self love at that time? And because in a way, what I was reading is that it really just builds up, like basically the energy builds up from one retrograde to another, right? And so you can go, so the way that retrogrades happen is that they happen every 8 years. So if you wanted to go even further into your life and look at every 8 years and see where your life was, and see the progression that you've had, or maybe even the shifts that you can make, and how can you start including those lessons, right, that you have acquired during those retrogrades into this specific retrograde, which is going to be a very short period between the first, again, of March, which we already are now because today is March 4th. From the 1st of March all the way to April 12th, there's going to be a lot of up and down, especially because it's in the sign of Aries, which is a very fiery sign, and it can be very impulsive. And there could be this sort of impulsivity when it comes down to making decisions or rash decisions in our relationship. So you want to make sure that you pay attention to that. And I did talk about it a little bit on the video where we did the collective clearing, which, by the way, if you haven't listened to the collective clearing for the planetary alignment, please don't feel like it's too late. Go ahead and listen to that clearing. It was very powerful. The feedback that I got was that it was very powerful for everyone. So I'm excited about that. So someone actually posted something really interesting about what was happening collectively on the last Venus retrograde, which I think is important to bring forth for us here. Some of the things that were happening, right? There were so many things happening at the time, but I really found this very interesting, which was we had here in the US, we had the Women's March. It was the largest single day protest that we had in US history. We started the Me Too movement around that time, right? It was really allowing this conversation to be opened up in regards to how the relationship between the men women dynamic, right, in the workplace as well as in business. And so that conversation got started back then. We also had a rise of feminism, right, where there was also a rise of supporting the communities, minorities, such as queer communities, or just even minorities in general, right? So this is sort of like the energy that Venus retrograde brought around that time. And around that time, I believe it was in Leo, if I'm not mistaken. So it was all about, showing up in a way that it was still a fiery energy, and it was all about showing up in the way that where we can feel like we're being represented, which makes a lot of sense with Leo, right? One thing that I wanted to mention as well is that there's certain aspects that are going to be happening throughout the month that I kind of wanted to mention because I feel are important for us to keep an eye on. With this retrograde, there's going to be a lot of moon energy that we want to pay attention. So if you don't necessarily pay attention to the moon during this time, I highly recommend that you do, because this is going to be an opportunity. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for you to work alongside the moon to shift and alchemize energies. And there's going to be certain opportunity, or definitely difficulties, right, that may come up specifically with the moon. We also going to have a very important time with Mercury, where there's going to be a blending of energies between Mercury and Venus, where you're going to be able to really potentially have a better like an opening of good communication, especially if there's going to be an opening for you energetically, or consciously, maybe from the subconscious coming into your consciousness in regards to certain things that you want to talk about that you haven't talked about in your relationships. There's going to be that window where you may be able to really gather the energy. But then you also want to be mindful because Mercury is going to be in retrograde on the 15th, and so you want to be mindful of that as well. So we're going to talk about those dates. So the first date that I wanted to talk about was Mercury. Mercury in conjunction with Venus is going to be in conjunction on March 11th. So on March 11th, is going to be in this blending of energies, right? So you're going to have this blending of Venus and Mercury. And when you look at Venus, right, you could potentially be in a place where you are in under an understanding that you need to talk about a situation in a relationship, and you might be able to have a little bit of an opening that day on March 11th to talk about it. Now, of course, use your own guidance, your own internal guidance. You make sure that it's something that's aligned for you and it's for your highest good. But think about that opportunity where these two energies are going to be really supporting you there. The other conjunctions are going to be happening here are going to be with Neptune, which is going to be on the 27th. So the 27th is going to be all about really connecting with that dreamy energy, right? Maybe you want to dream or connect with the vision of what you want in a relationship. That on March 27th is going to be a really great time for you to do that, maybe setting those intentions. This is important to really understand that this is not a time for you to take action, right? If you want to take an action, just note that there's going to be some erratic behavior is going to be happening then. So I want to invite you to really think about, how can we move into a place of just understanding that these energies are there to kind of give us a little bit of a glimpse of what we can do, what actions we can take later once the retrograde is over, and then take those actions. So what I would recommend for you for when Mercury is in conjunction with Venus on the 11th is, instead of having a conversation, maybe having a conversation within yourself, maybe doing a journaling prompt for yourself, and then maybe even writing a letter at that moment so that you can allow this to flow. And then when you are ready to actually talk to the person, then you have refined that energy, right? You've given yourself permission to refine that energy. Why? Because I feel that the retrogrades are, even though they say that the energy is erratic, I feel retrogrades are really great because they're bringing up shadows. They're bringing up things that needed to be dusted up and seen better. But because, imagine, just think about it this way. Imagine you're cleaning a house, right? And it's been dusty for a while. And when you're picking up all the dust, it gets really messy at that moment, right? And so, like, as you're doing that dusting, which is really what the retrograde to me represents, as you're doing that dusting, that's not necessarily the best time to say, okay, I'm going to invite people over, right? That's not the best time. You're kind of like cleaning up house so that when you are ready, you can invite people over to your home. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that you want to recognize here in this situation, is that you want to connect to the energy, connect to what's coming up for you, maybe interact with yourself in that sense, give yourself permission to reflect, go deep within, journal or go to therapy, whatever that is for you, kind of refine what that is for you. And then when that retrograde is over, you go over and take the action that you need to take. Okay. And so, okay, so basically I was mentioning also Neptune, right? So the Venus in conjunction with Neptune, again, that blending of energy. So I would recommend that on the 27th, right, March 27th, maybe you can set like a little bit of a ritual for yourself, or even set like an opportunity to meditate and ask yourself the question of, how do I want my relationships to look like? How I want my relationship with myself to look like? How do I want my relationship with beauty to look like? How do I want to see my relationship with my finances to look like? Right? However that looks like for you, because everyone's going to be specifically touched by this specific retrograde differently. So wherever it is that you're seeing the shadows come up, that's where you want to kind of focus on. Okay. Okay. So in regards to these are the main planets that I see here that are being infusing, right? Like, really the moon is the one that's going to be active throughout this month in in connection with Venus. So I really, like I said, I want to invite you to really connect with the moon this month. And even if you can do so on a daily basis, there's an app that I use, by the way. They're not promoting this here, but it's called, what is it called? It's called the Lux Moon, and it's a really great app. But you could also go online and purchase like a moon calendar, however you want to do that. Just make sure that it's an astrological moon calendar, so you can see what is what is the sign that is assigned to that moon, and so that you can receive that properly, right? And okay, so then the next thing that I wanted to mention here, which I'm not really familiar with this specific aspect, but it is mentioned here, and I kind of wanted to, because Lilith is going to be in quinsance, which I don't know how to. I'm going to put it out here. I'm going to put it here on the banners so you can see what I'm talking about, because I'm not even sure. It's spelled Quincunx. If you're listening to this and you can't see the banner. And so basically this is another aspect that that's going to be happening for Lilith, right? With Lilith. And I thought it was important to mention this, because specifically what I found here online is that this specific aspect has to do with two planets or two bodies, two light bodies that are 150 degrees apart, creating a tension due to the fact that they're not naturally in a relationship. They're kind of like they're not together. So when I look at Lilith to me represents the dark feminine, the divine dark feminine, the dark side of the feminine, which can potentially be very impulsive. It could be also an energy that creates a lot of emotional upheaval, and it could potentially be also parts of you that are hidden from you, like almost like a subconscious part of you that's going to be activated. And this is going to be specifically happening on the 27th of March. Okay, so we have March 27th. We have we have the Venus and Lilith in that specific quinsance. I can't say it, but anyway. And it's going to be happening in the evening for those of us who are, like, while we're sleeping, for those of us who are in the US. So what that tells me is that most likely we may have some interesting dreams. And so I want to invite you to really pay attention to your dreams on March 27th, because your dreams may be activated into receiving certain aspects of yourself that are unsavory, or that are hurt, maybe some traumatic events. And of course, it's going to be in Scorpio as well. So of course, Lilith is going to be in Scorpio, which is all about transformation, transmutation. And if you think about it, March 27th, which I was going to mention here too, is going to be in conjunction with Neptune as well. So the energy of Neptune is going to be infusing Lilith as well. So think about how this is going to maximize our dreams. You may even have sort of like psychic activations that day, right? In ways in regards to your in regards to how you connect with your relationships, or even maybe even receive psychic understandings of another person as well. So this is really exciting, and I think it's also important for us to be mindful of the energy, be mindful of what's happening. Write these dates down. If you didn't write them down, remember, we want to look at the conjunction with Mercury on March 11th. We want to look, which is going to be the blending of the energies. The same thing with the blending of the energies of Venus and Neptune on March 27th, and then as well as the other minor aspect of the Venus and Lilith, which Lilith is going to be in Scorpio. And again, there's going to be some deep things on uprootings that are going to happen that day. So important to do this. Why? Because guess what? We just came out of this planetary alignment, which we're still We're still being impacted by it. We went through the portal together. So then now we are kind of continuing to realign, my dear souls. That's what I'm trying to say here. We're continuing to realign. That alignment didn't just happen one day. It's going to continuously happen throughout this year. And as we move through this year, hence the reason why I've been wanting to be more mindful of the planetary aspects. As we move through this year, we're going to continue to align ourselves, realign ourselves, and realign ourselves. The planetary alignment that happened in on the 28th of February, what it was truly, it was an activation for continuous alignment of our path, right? And if we take this from a place of conscious awareness, then we can use these energies into our favor, okay? And another thing that I wanted to mention as well, remember that we have Mercury in retrograde starting on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken, of March. Let me double check, make sure that I'm saying this out of the top of my head. So just want to make sure that I'm saying this properly. Yeah, March 15th. So on the 15th, which is going to be 4 days after the conjunction with Venus retrograde, then things are going to be very wonky as well when it comes down to our communication, especially our communication with those we are in relationship with. Now, another thing I wanted to mention too, and I mentioned this before, make sure that you are checking all of your technology prior to the 15th, making sure that you're changing your oil in your car, that you're checking your tires, you're checking all the things, that you're making sure that you're restarting your computer. I know it sounds so like mundane, but like these little things will make a difference if you prepare for the energies, right? Now, sometimes we're meant to go through certain outages and whatever, and it's just the way it works. But try to prepare yourself for Mercury retrograde so that you're not dealing with technology issues and issues with your car breaking down or whatever. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the readings. We're going to go ahead and read for all Venus signs. So I just wanted to mention here, if you're not familiar with Venus on your planetary placements, you can go online and pull up your chart, and you're going to check where your Venus is, okay? We are going to be talking about Venus. Why? Because we are currently in Venus retrograde. And so I want to talk about Venus, your Venus, instead of your sun, okay? So Venus sign. And so if that resonates with you, if it doesn't resonate with you, it's okay. Maybe take a moment to meditate with it and then go back and re-listen to it, okay? You could potentially be surprised later on, okay? Okay, so before we get started, I just want to take this moment to open this sacred container as we connect with Spirit to receive messages from Spirit. I want to thank you, Spirit, for this opportunity to share your guidance and your knowledge with this planet. For those who are here, who are meant to be here listening to this, thank you, Spirit, for bringing those who are in alignment with the messages that you want to share through me. Thank you, Spirit, for allowing me to be the vessel of messages to share. I want to thank Spirit for the opportunity to connect with the community, to be able to bring guidance in a way that is loving, compassionate, in alignment, that is for the highest good and the highest good of all. Calling in Archangel Michael to shield and protect the space, creating a circle, a container of protection. Apply a buffer shield and remove any entities, blocks, interferences that don't serve the highest good of this space. I ask Archangel Raphael to come forth and infuse a beautiful emerald green light to support this space, to bring healing into the hearts and souls of those who are here listening. I also ask Archangel Metatron to come forth and support us with connecting with our Akashic Records, to connect us with our higher selves and connect with our true wisdom. Thank you, Spirit. I ask Spirit for us to receive the messages that are in relationship to the Venus signs that are right now being impacted by Venus retrograde. What are the messages that we need to share for the collective today. Thank you, Spirit. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going to look at Aries Venus. If your Venus is in Aries, which you're probably feeling the energies right now, dear Aries, because Venus is retrograding in your sign. All right. What are the messages for those with Venus in Aries? Thank you, Spirit. What are the messages for Venus in Aries? Thank you, Spirit. All right, so for those who have Venus in Aries, we have the card of Eight of Wands, Two of Wands, okay, right side up, and we have the Ten of Cups right side up for you. And we have the card of shape-shifting, heart opening, and spirit animals for you, okay? All right, for those of you who have Venus in Aries, so you're being guided right now to notice any shifts when it comes down to your love or your relationships in general. Just seeing any changes that are happening. There's almost like this allowing, this becoming of your relationships at this time, whether there are love interest or just in relationships such as family or close relationships. There's sort of like this change or this sort of becoming or shifting of the energies, or also in the way that people are showing up or the way that you want to show up in your relationships. And so at this time, you're being invited to open your heart to being the one that makes the first step towards opening yourself to this beautiful, loving, compassionate place, right? You want to be the one that stays with a heart open, right? You want to be the one that stays there throughout this month, okay? You're also being invited to recognize that, right, that this, as you connect with your heart this month, you're going to see that there's going to be a lot of support that's going to come forth for you, not only from your own family, but also from your friends and allies that are going to come over, and they're going to be like attracted to that beautiful high vibration energy that you're going to be infusing in everything that you do. And that's going to bring a lot of emotional stability and a lot of harmony in your experience. So your biggest lesson or message here is to stay with an open heart, dear Aries, and you will see how things will shift into a beautiful, loving, and harmonious place. Okay, we got Taurus. What are the messages, Spirit, for Taurus Venus? For Taurus Venus, what is your message, Spirit? Come on, baby. Oh, come here. All right. All right, so for Taurus Venus, Spirit, what is the message here? For Taurus Venus, we have the Ace of Cups upside down, the Nine of Wands upside down, and we also have the Ten of Swords right side up. We have the card of the inner child. All right, we have the card of the inner adolescent, and then we have the card of Luna, the moon. This is going to be really powerful for you. Remember, I did talk about how the moon is going to be a really important aspect of this month throughout this Venus retrograde. And so I want to invite you to really look at Venus, the moon this month, dear Taurus. If you have your Venus in Taurus, then you definitely want to make sure that you're following the moon very closely this month and work with the moon, the energy of the moon. Dear Taurus, we have the card of the inner child, implying that there are some things from the past that are still kind of coming up for you, and they may be even enhanced throughout this month. And not only your inner child, but also throughout your entire time growing up, from the inner child all the way to your inner adolescent, all the way from a baby all the way till when you were an adult and able to leave home. You may have certain aspects of your experience from the past that are going to come up throughout this month of Venus retrograde. So this feels very like family oriented, like a lot of family sort of loss, feeling this loss, or feeling like sort of like lack of love, or not feeling wanted, or not feeling cared for. And so these feelings are going to rise, they're going to come up for you, so that you can align yourself into connecting with them and be able to release them. Hence the reason why you want to make sure that you connect to the moon, so the moon can support you with this journey that you're kind of going to be entering. It's almost like a shamanic journey. Think about it as an initiation for you, dear Taurus. The other thing that I want to mention here is that you want to stay away from being stubborn or rigid or defensive, right? That this is going to be an automatic thing that's going to come up for you. You're going to have this auto behavior is going to come up, and I want to invite you to really try to compromise as much as you can. Give yourself permission to, because again, there's this part of you that is hurting, that wants to be heard, that wants to be acknowledged. And because of that, then there's going to be that reactivity. But then when the time for compromise comes in, then you're gonna have a hard time. With the card of the moon, it also kind of lets me know that you want to know when to compromise and when not to compromise, dear Taurus. So try not to just stay like on one lane. Understand that there's going to be opportunities to show up in different ways throughout this month, and so make sure that you're choosing wisely throughout this experience of Venus retrograde. You're also being, if you continue this path of not working on this specific reactivity in a conscious way, then you're going to potentially be exhausted from all of this energy, and even exhausted from relationships, and feel like you have nowhere else to go. Also, you're probably not going to have even the energy to do your daily tasks and routines. You potentially could fall into victimization mentality, or victim mentality, that will make it exhausting for those around you as well. So just make sure that you give yourself permission to connect with your inner child, with your inner adolescent. What can you do to bring that joy in? That's what I recommend for you. And how can you bring in that acknowledgement to them, and also recognize when that reactivity is coming in, and then speak directly to those aspects of yourself, instead of outwardly expressing these. Okay, so that's what I have for you, dear Taurus, Venus in Taurus. Moving on to my beautiful Geminis. To my beautiful Geminis. Spirit, is this for Gemini? Okay, thank you. That one jumped out for you, dear Gemini. So we're going to check it out. What's the message for Gemini, Spirit? Thank you, Spirit. Give me direct messages for Gemini. Thank you, Spirit. For those who have Gemini, Venus and Gemini. Venus and Gemini. Venus and Gemini. Thank you. Dear Gemini, you are being called to bring some balance in your relationships. Where are you kind of overgiving, and where are you not giving the same amount that you're being given, dear Gemini? There's a Two of Pentacles that is coming through for you, and there's a Four of Pentacles that's coming through upside down, as well as the Knight of Swords. We also have the card of reciprocity coming up above Two of Pentacles, as well as Grandfather Air coming above the Four of Pentacles, and shapeshifting coming above the Knight of Swords. So these two cards, like the card of reciprocity and the card of Two of Pentacles, is all about coming back into balance. It's all about the invitation to rebalance your relationships, all relationships at this time. You may feel a little bit overwhelmed because this department may feel like it's not as organized as you wish it was. Like you feel like you need to kind of control the situation, and because you can't really control a situation or another person, then it becomes overwhelming for you. So I want to invite you to let go of control and connect with your with this part of you that um, will help you connect with this flow, right? Like just connecting with the air medicine. Just imagine just you're flowing in the air. You're just allowing yourself to flow and not try to just control the situation. Okay. The other thing that I see here is that you're being invited to open up to being generous with your loved ones. How can you give more at this time, but how can you do so in a way that is balanced, right? You may have been giving what, in a way that is what you would like, but not what the other person would like. Meaning, maybe you're trying to give gifts, but your partner or your loved ones just want time with you, right? Maybe looking at your relationships from a place of what would they want instead of what would I want, and giving that instead. Okay. You may stay a little bit too much in the head, in your head, in your mind, thinking a lot about how things should be, or you maybe getting even anxious or nervous about a relationship. I just want to invite you to ground this month. Okay. When it comes down to your relationships, it's important to give yourself permission to say your truth, say them lovingly, and also make sure that you are mindful on how you're giving in a relationship. Make sure that you are connecting to the love language of your loved ones. You're also being invited to bring a little bit of flexibility, right? Going back to the first card, which is the card of balancing and maybe feeling like you have to control the situation. How can you bring more flexibility in your relationships at this time, right? You may be feeling a little bit impatient, right? Or maybe you need to allow the other person to assert their needs. Maybe you need to allow them to speak their truth, and then at the same time you do the same, and then you can come into an understanding and shift the energy of the relationship towards what is going to be balanced for both of you. Okay, and that is what I have for you, dear Gemini. I hope that you enjoy that. We're moving on to Cancer. Cancer Venus. If you have your Venus in Cancer, this message is for you. Okay. What's the message for Venus in Cancer, Spirit? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And then if you are here, let me know in the comments, where is your Venus? Do you know where your Venus is? Okay, so dear Cancer, if your Venus is in Cancer, sorry, if your Venus is in Cancer, I want to talk to you about certain things here. We got Six of Pentacles, right side up, Page of Cups upside down, Nine of Swords upside down. We have the Elements card right above the Six of Pentacles, the Inner Adolescent card right above the Page of Cups, and we have the Cosmic Mother right above the Nine of Swords. Okay. So with the Elements card, I am being guided to tell you that, first of all, you want to really look at all of the resources that you have. You have a lot of resources that you are able to tap into, and I'm not talking about just physical, like financial resources, but just resources when it comes down to your ability to connect with your loved ones. You have this very innate ability, this almost psychic ability to connect with your loved ones, and that is a reminder that spirit wants to kind of bring forth for you. Okay, this opportunity for you to connect or hone this skill or continue to connect with these aspects of yourself, of being so in tune with those around you, really help you in being able to share, but then also being able to learn when to receive. Okay, so you may want to make sure that you tap into these aspects of yourself that help you be very in tune, so that you know when it's time for you to say, okay, I'm going to receive now. And then when it's time for you to say, okay, this is my time to give. You'll be able to tell by how it feels in your body when you are about to give. If there's resistance, then you want to pay attention to that, connect to that intuitive guidance. Now, I see here with there's this part of you that is experiencing sort of like this emotional vulnerability. Like there's going to be this emotion that is going to come out, maybe in an interaction. You're going to feel sort of like naked in front of that person, because they're going to see you in a way that you didn't even realize you could be seen. Okay, and this part of you is in relationship to um when you were younger, like with the inner adolescence. So this vulnerable part of you is going to be revealed, or even projected back to you, or spoken out loud up to you, like almost like a mirror in front of you, and it's going to remind you of those years when you were growing up. Okay, and what I want to invite you to do is to really pay attention to what's showing up for you, and embrace this opportunity, because this is an opportunity for you to practice that opening, right? Opening yourself up to being in that vulnerable state, of course, with someone who feels safe. We always want to make sure that we feel safe with the person, but we also want to make sure that we allow ourselves that vulnerability. So this is going to be a practice for you. It's going to be really great. Now, you're probably going to revisit certain situations in regards to your mother here on this earth, with Cosmic Mother and the Nine of Swords. I see here that you may have certain layers that were passed down to you from mother, from the womb, that are related to shame, maybe even feeling like limiting beliefs, or limiting beliefs and shame, and feeling like there's not enough, or you're not good enough, like that type of energy. And I just want to invite you, like, if that is showing up for you this month, just know that this is coming from mother. You want to clear that energy between you and mother. Okay, however you want to do that. If you want to come to me, you're more than welcome to come to me and book a session. But either way, just work that relationship with mother, and that will be very helpful for you. So this is not a time for you to go to your mom and say, hey, you did this. No, this is time for you to go the introspection, right? To go into the introspection, and then do the clearing, and do the shifting of the energy for yourself. And then later on, if you want to talk about certain things with mom, in regards to X, Y, and Z, or conversations that you may have had in the past, then you can do so. But for right now, you want to make sure that you are addressing this within yourself. Remember, we are in Venus retrograde, so you want to be mindful of any fiery, impulsive sort of energies that may come up. And these seem to be very sore spots. Like there seems to be certain sore spots for you here. They're going to be very present for you. So you want to make sure that you're mindful of that, and Treat yourself with kindness. Okay. Okay, moving on to my beautiful Leos. Leo, Leo, Leo. Okay, so Leos. What do we have for Leos here? Dear Spirit, what do we have for Leos? Those who have Venus in Leo. Venus in Leo. Okay, let me see. Thank you, Spirit. We have Leo, Venus in Leo. Okay, we got 4 cards from the Spirit of Psilocybin. We are going to honor those for you, dear Leo. So we have for you, dear Leo, we have the card of the 6 of Wands upside down, the 5 of Wands upside down, the Hanged Man right side up for you, dear Leo. We have the card of Corn right above the 6 of Wands. We have the card of Spores right above the 5 of Wands. And above the Hangman, we have 2 cards. We have the Cosmic Child and Death card, okay? And we'll go over those in a sec. Okay. So, dear Leo, what I see here for this month with Venus in retrograde in regards to your relationships, you want to really start looking at your relationships from a place of abundance. You may feel like you haven't achieved anything in your relationships and feeling defeated. Dear Leo, you want to make sure that you look at your relationships from that space. The Spirit of psilocybin is inviting you to see the abundance that is already present in your relationships. Maybe there are some relationships that have been a little bit difficult, but see try to see all of the different relationships that you have expressed in your life and try to see the overall picture if you can. You're also being invited to you're going to be invited this month, right, to look at a way to bring cooperation and resolution in maybe certain conflicts that you may have had in the past, or you may have had you're having, right, you've been having for a while. And you may be inspired with the Spores card. This is more about the seeds and inspiration and like this mental expression of this potential of starting over, right? Like this opportunity to start over the relationship, like maybe saying, okay, scratch that, let's go ahead and start over, right? You may be inspired to do so at this time. And that is something great. We'll make sure that you take your time during this Venus retrograde to keep that in mind, park that idea. Don't take action just yet, because you want to make sure that the energy is fully matured before you move into that. Now we have the Cosmic Child and the Death card. So I see here that this is an invitation to let go of the past in your relationship, okay? You're also being invited to see the power that you have to really alchemize and change things, to rebalance, to see both the light and the dark in a relationship. That the relationship is not always going to be this beautiful, happy place, but then there's also going to be these difficult times, and then bringing that balance into both and knowing that you're able to shift and alchemize these as well. Of course, this with a grain of salt, always with a throw of caution on the wind for those of you who are in relationships that are not healthy. Then that it's better to make sure that we are always safe. But if you are in a relationship that is not bringing any sort of issues of safety to you, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual safety, then I would recommend that you really give yourself opportunity to bring that awareness into your life, in regards to how there's 2 sides of the coin here, right? With the Hangman, we have this opportunity to contemplate on these, on bringing this different perspective. Now, remember that you don't necessarily have to sacrifice everything, but sometimes there's got to be some compromise, right? When it comes down to your relationship. So how can you bring a little bit more compromise and not go into the doom and gloom that you've been kind of carrying forward up until now, dear Leo? So let's go ahead and shift that energy, right? Give yourself permission to connect with that spores energy that I mentioned earlier, which is all about these ideas of how we can start over, right? How can we let go of these past experiences and start over? How can we give ourselves a brand new sheet of paper so we can start drawing the life that we want together? Okay, that's what I have for you, dear Leo. Dear Leo, Leo, Leo. Okay, so we're moving on to Virgos. If your Venus is in Virgo, this message is for you. Okay. All right, so dear Virgo, Virgo. What's the message for Virgos? Venus, Virgo, and Venus. Venus and Virgo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What else do we have here? Powerful. Oh, wow. Dear Virgos. So we have Virgo, we have the card of Four of Swords for you, right side up. We have the card of Knight of Wands, upside down, the card of Ten of Wands, upside down. We have the card of Cosmic Father right above Four of Swords. We have the card of Cosmic Mother right above the Knight of Wands. And we have the card of Shapeshifting right above the Ten of Wands. All right. So you are right now looking at the potential of either healing or even finding peace when it comes down to your relationship with Father. This specific card of the Cosmic Father is related to relationship with Father here on earth, meaning the soul that you chose on this lifetime to be your father. Okay, so you are right now being invited to look at how can you put to rest any discordance, any energies that don't feel aligned with you in regards to Father. How can you put these to rest now? How can you allow yourself to not think about this relationship over and over again? Maybe it's time for you to take a moment to just put this aside for a minute, right? And just move into into a different direction for now. You're being invited to protect your peace by putting this to rest. This could potentially be also a situation where you may have an argument with your father, right? Or a father figure, right? You may have an argument with them throughout, or maybe something might come up this month in regards to that. Just try to put it aside. Try not to get too caught up in that, because that is Venus in retrograde on, like, literally like activating things for you, right? And so you wanna like take this with a grain of salt. Things might shift. Actually, they're gonna shift afterwards, right? You're also being invited to really let go of any um any aspects of yourself that feel impulsive, right? You may feel a little bit of an impulse to react to how this person is showing up in your life, whether it is a father figure or a father, or your dad. And you may need to really go into a place of nourishing yourself, reconnecting with compassion, reconnecting with a sense of love and awareness of your heart space and your heart chakra. Okay. This is not the time to react. Again, we have this from March 1st all the way to April 12th. So this is not the time to react and make any hasty decisions. Okay. So whatever you need to do to go back to rest, go back to nourishment, go back to just self-care and self-love, this is an opportunity for you. Okay. This is where you this is a direction you want to go. Okay. Now with the we also have the opportunity to invite you to let go of anything that is keeping you from resting. You may be taking on so much on your daily tasks, your on your everyday routine, that because of that you're kind of in this hyper expression of where you are, and in turn moving yourself into a space of not being able to rest. This is the time, like this month for you is about rest, dear Virgo. So whatever you need to do to give yourself permission to release the extra stuff, because you need the physical rest, the expression of rest, so that you can rest not only the mind but the soul as well. Your heart needs rest, and but you also let that be in the physical as well. This is going to help you become more flexible. It's going to allow you to become more open to conversations later, when it comes down to the struggles that you've been having about this specific person or figure or father figure in your life. You need to create that sort of cocoon right now, dear Virgo. Okay. So I hope that helps you. And we're moving on to Libra. Libra. If you have Venus in Libra, this message is for you. And of course, if your sun sign is in Libra, that's fine too. If you feel that it resonates for you, that's okay. Venus in Libra, Spirit. What are the messages for Venus in Libra? Venus in Libra. Venus in Libra. We have a lot of air medicine for you, dear Libra. I'm not surprised. As a Libra, you're air sign. Air medicine for you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Appreciate you, Spirit. Thank you. All right, so we have the Eight of Swords upside down for you, dear Libra. We have the Nine of Swords right side up for you, dear Libra. We have the Knight of Wands. Upside down, we have the Journey card right above the Eight of Swords. We have the Elements card right above the Nine of Swords. And we have the Light Medicine card right above the Knight of Wands for you, dear Libra. Okay. Okay, so dear Libra, you are at this point, and I think I talked about this for sun signs yesterday, but it seems like that energy is still present here. Dear Libra, you are taking control of your status quo at this time, especially when it comes down to relationships as well. So what I mentioned yesterday for sun signs, today also it applies for those who are of Venus in Libra. But specifically, this is in regards to relationships. You are finally giving yourself the opportunity to find the release and the freedom that you've been wanting to see in your life. You are taking control of the status quo. You are giving yourself permission to see your journey as an opportunity for many things to unfold for you. You understand, dear Libra, or you're going to come into the understanding throughout this month that your journey continues, that you don't need to stop just because you're trying to make others happy. You're finally facing the fears that you have had about maybe stepping away from a relationship, and now you're kind of like, you know what, it's not that bad. It's not that bad now. I'm not so worried about it. Okay. This fear and anxiety may come up throughout this month. Just know that that's part of your process, but you have all that you need inside of you, dear Libra, to process all of this fear and anxiety. Okay. So just know that that courage that you connected to at this and that you're connecting to, or that you are going to connect to, is going to be your fuel. So lean into that courage, to your Libra, so that you can really move through that feeling of anxiety and fear or negativity around your relationships, things are going to get better. You are invited to connect to your light medicine, dear Libra. You have so much light inside of you. You have so much opportunity to bring that joy into your life. And you don't have to force this into your life, dear Libra. You don't have to feel like this is going to be something forced or something that's that has to be necessarily dominant in your life. Remember, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs in your relationships, ups and downs in your expression of your relationships, and not everything's going to be exactly the same. But the important thing is going with the waves, and understanding that no matter what, no matter where you are at in your journey, in your path, that you want to stay in that joy. You want to stay in that sense of understanding that you're supported and you're loved. Okay, you don't want to get to the point where you don't lean into your joy and then you become someone who is just who feels powerless, and in turn starts to create very unsavory situations for themselves, right? Like, you don't want to connect to that. You want to connect to your sense of power. You want to connect to that sense of having the big picture, and you have that ability, dear Libra, to see the big picture. So you want to take control of this experience, but not necessarily in a way that's coming from fear, but from a place of excitement and joy, right? And that's what I have for you, dear Libra. Thank you, Nicole. What is your Venus? What is your Venus? Do you know where your Venus placement is? If you know what your Venus placement is, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. Okay, so moving on to Scorpio. Moving on to Scorpio. Okay, dear Scorpio, this message is for you if you're Virgo. I'm sorry, if your Venus is in Scorpio. Oh, you're Pisces. Okay, so you're waiting for the last one. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're halfway through. Okay, if your Venus is in Scorpio, this is for you. Thank you. A lot of water here for you, dear Scorpio. I'm not surprised. Well, we got a balance, actually, water, air, and fire for you. Messages do we have for Scorpio? Thank you, Spirit. All right. Thank you, Spirit. Scorpio, if your Venus is in Scorpio, we have the Queen of Cups upside down. We have the Knight of Wands upside down. We have the Six of Swords right side up. And we have the card of Honoring right above the Queen of Cups. We have the card of Embodiment right above the Knight of Wands. And we have the card of Visions right above the Six of Swords. Okay, so what do I see here? So beautiful Scorpio. You are in this place. You may be feeling very sensitive. You may be in your feels throughout the month of March, especially with this Venus in retrograde. You may be feeling in your feelings, right? You may be feeling a little fragile at this time. You may be feeling like you don't have what you need to be able to, the endurance to be able to open up to new opportunities, or even just to open up in your current relationships. I want to invite you, dear Scorpio, to see yourself in that unique expression that you are. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you for being the sensitive being that you are. You're beautiful exactly the way you are. Just remember not to project these expressions outward in a way that is going to bring discordance in your relationships. If you open up about it and you're vulnerable and you say, hey, I am feeling this way and this way, and the person is safe, nothing to worry about, right? There's nothing to worry about, because then they'll understand you and they'll give you a hug and they'll say, I love you, right? And so you want to be in that embodiment of and aligned with your emotional being. Like, I feel like this is a calling to be in that embodiment fully, because that is what is going to bring a lot of just shift of energies and transitions and transmutations in your relationships. Okay, you don't want to be passive about these emotions. You want to allow them to express. But how are you going to do this in a way that is healthy? That is the important aspect here. So that's what you want to ask yourself when you're going through these emotional states, or maybe you're feeling a little moody. How can you move through embodying this moodiness that you're feeling, and channeling it in a way that feels right for you, right? That it's not going to necessarily impact another person, but is going to definitely shift a lot of energy for you in a positive way. So I want to invite you to really look at how maybe bringing it, like I'm seeing movement. So even like bringing movement, such as ecstatic dance, to express your emotions, or even any sort of like creative expression, such as painting or drawing. Even if you're not into that, whatever that feels like for you, that you can bring into the body and allow it to express, is going to be very powerful for you this month. Okay. You want to make sure that you recognize that when you do this, you will bring a lot of clarity into your being, and you'll be able to move on from these energies that are coming through. It's almost like you want to allow yourself to be the vessel throughout this month. Okay, we need you, dear Scorpio, because we need that energy flow. You may be someone who, in your human design, you may be a non-emotional in your human design, and you may need to move these emotions that are around you that you're receiving, and you need to channel them in a way that is positive and productive for those around you as well as for you. So you want to make sure that you connect to that. That's for those of you who are into human design. If you don't understand that, just don't, it doesn't matter. What matters is understanding that you're a vessel, potentially feeling all of these emotions internally, but also potentially feeling the emotions out that are around you, and letting yourself be that vessel and be the alchemist of those moods, right, that are coming through. As you're doing this, you're going to leave behind all of these negative discordance emotions, or discordant energies. All of these are going to be left behind, so you don't have to hold on to these. Okay, just give yourself permission, like I said, to move through them with ease. You're going to be just fine. Just hold on to your body, stay grounded, and you'll be just fine, dear Scorpio. Okay. All right, moving on. Who else do we have here? We have Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Yes, you're the last one, Nicole. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's okay, girl. Hang out with me. I'll be as fast as I can. Okay, so we got Sagittarius. I am reading Venus signs. Okay, so if your Venus is in Sagittarius, this message is for you. So for Sagittarius, Venus and Sagittarius. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Spirit. I love it when that happens. Thank you, Spirit. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we have 4 cards. We're gonna got a lot of fire energy, not surprised. Little bit of water. Little bit of water for you, dear Sagittarius. But really a lot of fire, which I'm not surprised, dear Sagittarius. Okay, so there we go. We have that card here. Okay. Dear Sagittarius, we have four cards that I'm honoring from tarot. They're all from Minor Arcana. So we're going to put these together here, because I feel like that comes together here. That's the last message there. Okay, so we have the card of Page of Cups right side up for you. We have the card of Five of Wands right side up for you. We have the Seven of Wands upside down. We have the Eight of Wands upside down. Above the card of Page of Cups, we have the Curandera card. We have the Five of Wands. Above that, we have the Fruit card. And above both the Seven of Wands and the Ace of Wands, we have the Corn card. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at this and see what's happening here. Okay. So there's a little bit of sort of like this dreamy energy around what you would like your relationships to look like. You're kind of like feeling this sense of innocence and also almost like this naive sense when it comes down to your relationships. But this also can potentially create sort of like this card sort of creates this idea, this idealistic, that's idealism, that's what I was trying to think about. So this is idealistic expression of what you would you wish. There's lots of wishes, right? And you're being invited to ground into your empowerment and understanding that you get to decide how your relationships get to be in your own actions, right? So you don't want to stay too much in the mind, right? Too much in the dreams. And again, you might want to take advantage, like I mentioned earlier today, while I was talking about the astrological shifts. I believe I said that it was on March 27th that Venus and Neptune are going to be in conjunction. You might want to take advantage of that day. You might want to take advantage of that day to set intentions about, okay, show me spirit, show me higher self. What is the ideal for me? What is an alignment for me? So that you don't go back and forth. Use this idealistic energy or expression that you're in to ground, right? You don't want to stay up there. So let's go ahead and give it some like a path, right? So the energy of the curandera card is telling you, hey, let's go ahead and set place ourselves into empowerment. How can you empower yourself into aligning with those dreams and idealistic ideas that you have? But when you receive those messages, make sure that you're open to receive what your higher self wants really for you, because that's really what your soul wants, right? And so really connecting to that and not getting so caught up in the ego and what your wish, but then this wish and this desire is really not aligned, and that's why it's not really being expressed. So what is really in alignment for you? That's where you want to stand into the curandera and say, this, I'm going to align myself with what is in integrity for me, right? That's what you want to claim this month. Okay. The other thing that you want to look at as well is recognizing that you may, again, we are Venus retrograde and Aries. There's a lot of fiery energy. The 501s is a little bit of conflict, a little bit of tension might come up this month. And that is the result of maybe staying a little bit too much in the head and not really paying attention to what's happening in front of you, and maybe putting ideas in your head, or maybe seeing things through rose-colored glasses and not recognizing the reality of what you see in front of you. And so I want to invite you to ground yourself into the reality, see what is the physical expression of your relationships, what is the reality in front of you, so that you can bring a little bit more of an understanding and openness into like, oh, okay, this is what it is. So that because, okay, it's interesting because the spirit is telling me there is a conversation between you and yourself where you're not satisfied with what you see in your head, but then what is being in front of you. And then so that's why you're kind of like trying to impose this, what you see in your head, into what is in front of you. No, dear Sagittarius, that just, no, don't do that. Okay. You want to see things for what they are. Stand in that understanding, in that reality check. Okay. And this doesn't mean that you have to give up. So there's a card of 7 of Wands is all about giving up. Oh my gosh, this is over. I can't believe it. This is terrible. You don't necessarily have to surrender or give up, right? Dear Sagittarius, what you want to do is give yourself permission to say, okay, maybe this is the time for me to connect to what is abundant for me in relationships. How do I want my relationships to look like, right, moving forward? And is this in alignment with me? That doesn't mean that you're giving up on the relationship. Is it in alignment with you? And that's why I want to say you're being called to the curandera card for a reason. You're being called to an empowered state right now. You're being called to say, you know what? I'm not going to go into this victim mode and like feel like victimized about this. Okay, this is the reality of what it is. Okay, well, what is it in alignment for me? Let me figure this out. And then I'm going to move into that alignment, even if it means that you have to let go of a relationship. Now, however, remember, this month, you're going to be revealed these things. Don't take any actions just yet. No hasty No hasty actions this month. After April 14th, I believe, is the or April 12th, then you can start thinking about taking action. This is a month for you to observe what's happening, observe fully, and then give yourself permission to take action afterwards. Okay. But again, you're being guided to align with that internal healer that you are. Okay. So anyway, that's what I have for you, dear Sagittarius. I hope that this resonates for you and that you feel empowered after this reading. Okay, so what do we have here? We have Capricorn. Capricorn, Capricorn. Dear Capricorns, if your Venus is in Capricorn, this message is for you. If your Venus is in Capricorn, this message is for you. Okay, so what do we have here for Capricorns? Thank you, Spirit. Capricorn, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. All right. So if your Venus is in Capricorn, this message is for you. We have the Ace of Swords upside down. We have the Three of Wands upside down. And we have the Queen of Wands right side up, dear Venus in Capricorn. We have the card of the Journey right above the Ace of Swords. We have the card of Ancestral right above the Three of Wands. And we have the card of Heart Opening right above the card of Queen of Wands. Okay, so we have the Journey card, which lets me know that you may be feeling a little bit lonely at this time, maybe a little bit of confusion, or you may feel a little bit of confusion, and there may be certain miscommunications in your relationships, and feeling lonely in like even in relationships, almost feeling like you're the only one kind of putting the effort in your relationships. And because we have Mercury in retrograde this month, you might want to pay attention to that because that is potentially going to give you a little bit of a struggle throughout this month. Try not to fall into arguments. There could potentially be a little bit of hostility due to the miscommunication. So just be mindful about this. Now, I see here that this could potentially be related to familiar or family matters because I see the ancestral card here, which tells me that the connection to your lineage, right, is what is right now being activated for you, dear Capricorn. There could potentially be a feeling of like you haven't progressed, like you're like there's not the ability to really move forward in the family relationship because of how things are. We do things, we've always done things this way, and there's sort of like this frustration because you're feeling like there's obstacle after obstacle throughout this month. And so you are being invited to open your heart to this process. This is part of the journey of moving through the energies, dear Capricorn. So I want to invite you to look at it from a perspective of, oh, I am actually doing the work right now to support my lineage and support myself so that I can be in a better space and a better sort of like energy at this time. You're also being invited to connect with this sense of confidence of the Queen of Wands. I want to invite you to look at how she is the Queen of Wands. She's passionate and determined about doing what she needs to do, right? She is optimistic. So don't lose your optimism. Do not lose your passion for what you've been doing. It feels like you've been doing a lot of ancestral work, really, for your family, but even for yourself. And then, so don't feel like like the work that you've been doing is for nothing. Because you see these obstacles this month, you may feel like, oh, all this work for nothing. I don't want you to go there, dear Capricorn. Do not go there. That is not the truth. The truth is that you have been putting a lot of work into this, and the changes are happening. It's just that it's not going to be something immediate and something so much in your face. You will see this, and you potentially will see this even as you grow older. You will see these shifts become even more apparent. But as of right now, just notice what's happening. Be mindful, be present with it, and don't give up in the work that you're doing. Okay, I'm so proud of you, dear Capricorn, for doing this work. And I just want you to know that this is being acknowledged and supported and celebrated by your ancestors at this time. Okay. Okay, moving on to Aquarius. Beautiful Aquarius. Okay, so we have Aquarius. Age of Aquarius. We're in the age of Aquarius. Okay, let's see. Aquarius. What's the message for Aquarius? Okay, so what else do we have here? Thank you. You tell me what else we have here for Aquarius. What else? Oop. Thank you. And what else? Thank you. Okay, so dear Aquarius, we have the card of Knight of Wands for you. We have the card which is right side up, Knight of Swords upside down. We have the card of Queen of Pentacles right side up. We have the grandfather heir, not surprised, over the Knight of Wands, the grandmother Earth right side up, and we have above the Knight of Swords, and we have ancestral for you as well, that is above the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so dear Aquarius, during this month of Venus in retrograde, so there's this is really interesting energy right now, because you're feeling this like surge. You're going to feel the surge. You're already feeling this surge of just like freedom, like almost this free spirited energy, this almost like moving forward and just feeling like you're at the top of the world, and you have acquired so much at this time, and feeling like your relationships are great, right? You're feeling like you're kind of like in a very good place, and so you're being invited to continue this and to recognize that communication may break down throughout the month just a little bit. Just be patient, but there's nothing that your energy and your charming ways will not be able to kind of pick back up and move into a place of balance or rebalancing. I also see here that with Grandmother Earth, you're being also guided this month to bring more nourishment into your experience. So how can you bring more nourishing opportunities in your, with your family, with your friends, maybe having like groups of get-togethers and things that are going to help you feel nourished and grounded and connected physically. So like that physical connection is important this month. You're also being invited to pay attention to any. So there's going to be moments where there's going to be there could potentially be some issues in regards to rude or tactless sort of situations or expressions between you and another person. And again, like I said at the beginning, nothing that your charming way of being cannot handle in a way that is aligned with your beautiful heart, dear Aquarius. Now, I want to invite you to really look at this as an opportunity, right? Because Venus is kind of showing us what are the shadows. So if you're feeling triggered, then you want to take a look at your ancestors, like where in your ancestral relationships, right, this has been expressed, and how has this been expressed for your own family members, and then how is it expressing for you, and seeing how you can move some of those energies and allow yourself to connect to your ancestors to clear these energies or these loyalties. Okay, so these can potentially be things that are going to be shown to you because your ancestors want you to address them so that you don't continue those experiences in the lineage. Okay, you are being invited to do things at home, whether it is bringing people over at home, giving yourself the opportunity to bring like I said, comfort and nourishment into your interactions with all your loved ones. Even I'm seeing groups of people like in a backyard having like a barbecue or something. Like that's what I'm seeing for you, dear Aquarius. Sort of like that type of energy, sort of like very homey, very nourishing, very intimate. That's what you're being invited to do. And so in those situations, you may have these experiences, like I mentioned, of kind of like tactless or rude behavior that may come up. And this is where you want to start observing. You want to observe. You want to be the observer. So you can be like, oh, okay, I see that. That's happened with my auntie and my uncle or my cousin, or you want to pay attention to that and say, oh, okay, this seems to be a pattern. Let's go ahead and move through that. And so that's the invitation for you throughout this month, is to become sort of like this observer of things that you're experiencing, that and see the patterns where they've been coming from in your own lineage. Okay, moving on to Pisces. Last but not least, my beautiful Pisces. If your placement of Venus is in Pisces, then this is for you. Placement of Venus in Pisces, this message is for you. Okay, messages for Pisces. Spirit, if Venus is in Pisces, what's the message for them? Ooh, that one fell on the floor. Okay. Okay. There we go. We got some water. Lots of water from our beautiful Pisces. We got a little bit of fire here. A little bit of fire heating up that water. Okay, for those in Venus, Pisces, messages. Thank you, Spirit. Yeah, we got a lot of fire and water energy here for you guys. Okay. So beautiful Pisces. If your Venus is in Pisces, this message is for you. So you're most likely going to be making you're going to have to make certain decisions, right? Because we have the journey card is the crossroads card right above the Two of Wands upside down. I'm sorry, right side up. We got the Nine of Cups upside down, the card of embodiment right above it. And we have the card of Queen of Cups upside down. And we have the card of Grandfather Fire right above it. Okay. So what I see here, dear Pisces, is that you are going to be invited to make a decision this month. Okay. You're going to have to make a decision when it comes down to maybe partnership or expanding your social group, and you may be presented with having to take a risk or leave a comfortable situation. You may have to make a decision around that, and you are being invited to really look at your current life. You're basically being called to see this as an opportunity to ground your visions as well. So you may be invited to align yourself with these visions and this opportunity, this crossroad that you're going to be in. Look at what is your original path that you envision for yourself, and align that decision that opportunity is going to come for you or to you in regards to your original visions. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so you want to make sure that you ground your visions, right? What you want, what you've been calling in, that you make a decision based on that. That's the message that Spirit wants to really bring forth for you here, because you may feel like you've been in this experience of lack of fulfillment, or maybe been disappointed about where things have been, especially with your relationships, and how you want your relationship to show up. And so this opportunity that is going to show up for you is an opportunity for you to say, okay, do I want to move away from this, or do I want to, is this going to bring more of that unhappiness? Is this going to be more of that disappointment for me, or is this going to be like an exciting part that's going to bring this vision, and this is going to bring me into aligned action with what I know is for my highest good, right? Now, you may have a little bit of resistance because there's going to be certain insecurities around this. You're going to have sort of like, you're going to feel a little bit vulnerable around it, almost like you feel like there could be like sort of like feeling you don't want to be dependent. And so you are going to you're invited to connect with the energy of fire. So today, right, we have here the grandfather fire speaking to you from a place of invitation to clear out any energies that are related to feeling insecure, for also for being someone who gives too much, clearing anything that has to do with feeling dependent, or feeling like the martyr because you've given so much. Oh, poor me. Like, you want to clear those energies. Okay, if you can do this right now, I feel like you're going to be able to, when this opportunity is presented to you, you're going to be able to make a very clear decision based on the alignment that you're in, right? Then working on these is important. So you can do this by either clearing yourself, or if you go to a practitioner, you can go a practitioner and receive the clearing that way. Or you can also do like a little ritual for yourself with grandfather fire, which we do have the grandfather fire here present for you, and write yourself a letter and then let go of those, especially in the full moon. That would be very powerful for you. But this is going to be important for you to do so that you can see clearly, and you don't make a decision that is going to put you further into a place of unhappiness, and just not feeling fulfilled, and feeling like your love life is, or your relationships are not really giving you what you need, right? Like, but it's time for you to let go of these aspects that are keeping you there unhappy, right? And so that's what I have for you, dear Pisces. Okay, that's the message for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that all of you enjoyed this, whether you're watching this now or on the replay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. Please share, like this video. I think I forgot to mention earlier to share and like. Please share and like this video. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you subscribe, make sure that you hit that bell button so you know when I go live next, or when I post a new video. And if you need support, and if you want to receive a clearing, a one-on-one session with me, you can go into thebloominglotushealing.com and receive support there. And I also wanted to mention, not least, to go over to my new YouTube channel at the Akashic Records channel, I'm going to put it here on the ticker so you can go in there and receive healing and support. I am posting there very, very constantly. You can receive healing and support there, and we are going to be announcing an ads-free version of the channel where you can access all of the stuff that I'm putting on the channel, and other stuff that I'm not putting on the channel, for a small fee, which will support the channel, will support keeping the channel going, and support also paying the video editor and everyone that's involved with the channel. So thank you everyone for being here. I love you all. I love you so much. Thank you, Nicole, for being here. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy this message, and I love you all. Namaste.